Rory, and we are both very proud and honoured to be Michael Hart's best men today. Now, Michael can never settle on just one starter in a restaurant, so it wasn't a surprise he couldn't settle on being best man. However, if he thought that was going to be the easy way out, he'd soon learn on his stag he was just going to get double the punishment. More on that later. So we actually thought, perhaps we should take it easy on Michael today, give the boy a break. And then we thought, not for you, Tory boy! So, today we're very pleased to introduce to you the A to Z of Michael Hart. Is for attributes. So of course one of the purposes of the best man speech is to give you a little bit of an insight into the groom's character. Who is Michael James Hart? So to help me with this, I sent out an email to some of you to ask you to describe Michael in a few words. And here are the results. The top words were money, FOMO, and fruity. Which, to be honest, is a fairly accurate description of Michael. Now, some of the other more descriptive comments we quite enjoyed were, I love his wiggle, loves a cry when hungover, that odd thing where he squishes his hands against his face. I've never seen that before. I think he's going to be doing it quite a lot through this speech. And finally, this is a new one, this is from work, but one of my favourites. Looks like a cross between Ellen and Hart. And to us, I wasn't too sure about it at first, but when you actually see the reference, it is uncanny.
For those of you who don't know, Michael is a lifelong Brentford fan. Michael has watched Brentford play week in, week out since he was a little lad. He was actually posted saying he had the dreams of being on the Brentford board by the time he was in his 30s. This hasn't exactly gone to plan. However, as much as you can take the man out of Brentford, you can't take the Brentford out of the man. Because recently at Gatwick Airport, he was seen shouting as Brentford's table mascot.
Now C is for colourblind. So yes, Michael is unable to see certain colours. There's actually a recent picture of him at a flower show where he was struggling to see any of the flowers. They're behind you, Michael. Now being colourblind has some serious implications. Alongside being unable to solve a Rubik's Cube, it has been known to make some very questionable fashion decisions, which leads us nicely onto D.
Dress sense. Now, I think we can all agree that Michael looks fantastic today. His beard is on point. He's usually eating away. And his suit fits like a glove. So Michael was quite surprised to some of you that Michael hasn't always been the dashing man that we see before today. No, seriously, before Sydney came along and took control of his wardrobe, he was prone to some serious fashion faux pas. Whether it be wearing the ugliest hoodie known to man, modelling cartoon characters on Nights Out, or experimenting with questionable hairstyles. Fashion was never his strongest asset. He's even managed to get back to dressing. You could say his fashion sense is embarrassing. I lived with Michael for 3 years, during which time we'd usually spend the evenings. I lived with Michael for 3 years, during which time we'd usually spend the evenings in deep conversation discussing the events of the day. More often than not, these events would usually be particularly unflattering and rather embarrassing. One such incident was after Michael was being in hospital for a routine operation. All was going well. Michael was prepped for his op. He was waiting patiently on a trolley in the bed of the reception area waiting room. Unfortunately, due to the nature of the operation, it meant that Michael had to strip down to his birthday suit. And then as the junior doctor went to wheel him away, he was unaware that the sheet that covering Michael's modesty had got caught under the wig. This resulted in a stark naked Michael Hart being revealed to the unsuspecting patients in the basement. Like a life drawing in a relation's basement. Then imagine it all looks something like that.
F is, of course, for Finland. Cindy's home and now Michael's second home. I've been to Finland a few times myself. It's a beautiful country, and there's 3 fun facts that I've learned about Finland. Firstly, Finland is officially the happiest country in the world. That's a UN report. It's official.
That's official.
In Finland, they actually have more saunas than they do cars. They even have saunas in the Burger Kings out there. Which actually sounds right up Michael's street, I have to say. But one of my favourites was, Finland's discovered my new favourite sport. The annual wife carrying championships. Yes, every year husbands from across Finland come together to hoist their wives onto their shoulders and race them around an obstacle course in the hope of winning gallons of beer. So now they're both eligible, I'm very much looking forward to seeing Mr. and Mrs. Hart challenge in next year's competition. Now, everyone has their weakness, just like Superman has his kryptonite. Michael's kryptonite is Noggy. Now, I warn you, if you ever have Michael around for a dinner party, whatever you do, don't give the boy Noggy. It's not that he's allergic to the stuff, it's just that the last time he enjoyed a bowl of Noggy, he was severely constipated for a week. Michael's gardening business. H is for Hart's horticulture. Now, Michael's always been a bit of an entrepreneur at heart, and while he did run a fairly successful gardening business back in the day, it always reminded me a little bit of Trotter's Independent Traders, only to horses. Here he is shifting some dodgy turf out of his garden. Now, Michael actually used to be my family gardener. It was actually a bit bizarre when I used to come back from school every week and Michael was mowing my lawn. We had this strange friend-employee relationship. I obviously want to stop and chat to him about the weekend, but at the same time I'm thinking, that's work, Michael, those things aren't going to make themselves. However, I do remember getting quite upset because I heard through the grapevine that Michael had said my mum was one of his easiest clients. Now, not only was I didn't want my mum's kindness being taken advantage of, but it also made Michael sound like some sort of gigolo. As it turns out, it wasn't that he wasn't working hard, it was just because my mum kept making bacon sandwiches and cups of tea. Or so they both say. I is for Ibiza. Having been to the White Isle no less than 9 times, Ibiza is definitely one of Hart's favourite holiday destinations. He really does love the place. However, as much as he's tried to fit in, he hasn't really tried to find something just yet. Here is another picture of Michael King this week to wear a miner's headlamp in one of the island's famous super clubs. It really wasn't good. It had to be done. J is for joy. For those of you that are unaware, for those of you who actually care, the UEFA Cup is our fantasy football league that we happen to take pretty damn seriously. I'm not going to dwell on this subject for too long because against all odds, Michael is actually the reigning champion.
Yeah.
However, he was the first person to come bottom. However, he was the first person to come bottom and therefore carry out the famous last place forfeit. If you don't know what this is, then ask us later because I just really don't want to discuss it in public. Mention my can know it. Just be sure to mention the word blue. Moving on. K is for camels. In In 2005, we had our first match group holiday to a the Greek island Corfu called Cavus. Here we experienced the local culture and sampled some of the alcoholic beverages that the island had to offer. On one of the evenings, while I was listening to everyone be up the bars, Graham, Michael and myself, we decided to get temporary tattoos, which turned out not to be our worst edition of the holiday. No, that came next. Whilst waiting for our new body to dry, we were sat by an empty hotel pool area and came across an unattended fridge. It was then we had the alcohol-induced idea of helping ourselves to a drink each. This was spotted by some local who didn't take too kindly to our self-service approach. The result was a sprightly Graham making a daring escape. However, Michael and myself weren't so lucky, and we ended up spending 24 hours on a drip in adjacent hospital beds in this binder. Remarkably, Michael actually managed to profit from this situation. More of that very, very soon.
So, Michael's moved up a little bit in the world since Cavos. He's more matured, more refined, he's grown a beard, and he's a hell of a lot fruitier. So, it's unsurprising that Michael's partial to a little soiree in Las Vegas. In fact, he even has an alter ego I like to call Mickey Vegas. You're most likely to find Mr. Vegas at the high roller tables in the casinos, areas playing Game of Thrones, or just chilling in a poolside cabana. But the main reason Mickey loves Vegas is because he loves money. M is for money. He spends a lot of money, he saves a lot of money, he even has a job where he moves money. He transfers one type of money into another type of money. Money. When Michael was just 12, many predicted he'd grow up to be either a billionaire or in prison. Neither has quite happened yet. But while it might make him sound like a modern-day Gordon Gekko, he's actually very, very generous with his money. Probably more generous than any of us here.
You.
He's always... So he's always happy to give money to friends when they're in need, and he's commonly known to spontaneously buy a round of Jaeger bombs for everyone on a night out. But I don't know many guys that would splash out to build a sauna in their back garden just to make their girlfriend feel more at home in the UK. Not to mention the extortionate electricity bills in the winter. But it wasn't always a lavish lifestyle for Mickey Vegas. So Michael went to university in Nottingham, where he earned himself a very respectable business degree. But his living arrangements were far from respectable. Here is some rare undercover footage of his university life. So Michael used to live in the ghetto of Nottingham, otherwise known as Shottingham. It was an area so dangerous, taxis refused to drive there. But also Michael and his housemates thought it would be a good idea to adopt some gerbils that he found in a cage at the side of the road. Oh, isn't that lovely? You're probably thinking. Well, they then let the gerbils roam freely around the house, who not only started living in the furniture, but also seemed to multiply every time I went back to visit. It was absolutely horrible.
O is for optimistic. One of Michael's greatest qualities is his eternal optimism. There's certainly no doubt in it, he's a real, the glass is half full kind of guy. Whilst it's clearly a very good trait to have, it has caused Michael occasionally to come unstuck and has a tendency to bite off a little bit more than he should. For example, inviting 22 men to his stag do in Krakow, Poland. Now, it's fair to say that during this weekend, Michael suffered. Whether it be embarrassing himself in front of strangers, eating lit cigarettes, or spending the afternoon in A&E after receiving an incredibly accurate headshot during a shout out, Pete, where are you? It really was a tough tough few days for Michael. But the image I will most likely live longest in the memory will be Sunday morning. Sunday was supposed to be a day to nurse. Sunday was supposed to be a day to nurse the wounds of a few days previous. However, when arranging the stag, me and Graham were presented with an opportunity that could not be missed. We discovered that en route to the airport was a canine training centre. Michael's task here was to run as fast as he could. Once a very, very, very angry cowboy was set upon him. As you can see by these pictures, his pace really was not up to scratch. Q is for quitter. Michael famously wore a t-shirt that stated that rehab is for quitters. Now, although Michael has gone to great lengths to prove that he does not fall into this category, he very much does. Whether it be a new entrepreneurial business idea, a healthy eating new diet, or a new hobby, Michael is now can never sing a project through. An example of this is when he spent several £100 on a set of shiny new golf clubs. However, these have not yet seen the light of day, just the rest.
So, for Michael, life's good. He's got a great job, he's got lots of friends, he just married the love of his life today in a wonderful wedding, and he's the reigning fantasy football champion. Hashtag life at the top. But life hasn't always been as rosy for Michael. R is for rock bottom. When we were just 16, Michael was one of Super Tedden's biggest customers. And for those who don't know what that is, it's a 9% premium strength lager. It wasn't only particularly like the stuff, it's just that it had the highest alcohol unit to money ratio, and therefore was typically a popular choice amongst tramps. So one time, Michael really got into character. When he drank so much of the stuff at a party, he went missing and woke up the next day lying in an open sewer with a group of children poking him with sticks. Yes, Michael was in the gutter. Hashtag life at the bottom. But now he has found Silly. S has to be for Silly, and I have to say Silly looks absolutely amazing today.
We've known each other for many years now. We haven't always seen eye to eye. We've disagreed on sections of politics, and we both consider us fun. And you stealing my housemate away from me was always going to be a touchy subject. At the end of the evening, we'll always have that quiet moment, after we've had far too much to drink, we'll always have that quiet moment where we end up admitting to each other how much we actually get along.
Rory.
I think I can safely say that having the two of you play such a large part of my life, that the two of you are absolutely perfect together. I've never heard you ever argue with one another, so to hear is for many, many more years of happiness together. So I'd like to, at this time, raise a toast to the bloodshed. However, T is for tomorrow. Sydney, as you know as well as most, that tomorrow could be a really, really tough day for Michael. That is because Michael is very, very susceptible to a monstrous anger.
Oh yeah.
Over the years, Michael has spent many a 24-hour period on death's door suffering the consequences of the night before. It was back in Earlsfield after a particularly heavy night of drinking, it was discovered that in this state, Michael takes a striking resemblance to formerly Libyan dictator, Colonel Gaddafi. Most recently, Michael Gaddafi was seen cradling a toilet bowl in Rio Kano. This easily would have been forgiven, however, had it not meant that he would spend the whole 24-hour period on only day 2 of the carnival. Cindy, I wish you good luck tomorrow.
I need it.
Now, it's probably safe to say Michael and I have shared more fruity holidays and epic trips than anyone over the years, but none of these, and I mean none, were as awful as Uruguay. So earlier this year, Michael was in the southern tip of Argentina, climbing glaciers and just generally finding himself. I then coaxed him on a 19-hour trip by land, sea and air to meet me in the fabled beach town of Punta del Este, Uruguay, which is apparently the Ibiza of South America. However, when we arrived, we'd actually missed the end of the party season by a matter of days. The hotel was empty, the beach was empty, the alcohol had run dry, and the clubs were closed. The highlight of our first night was actually booking our flights out the next morning, while sharing some dodgy empanadas at a local petrol station.
V is for Box and Corso. The Swinger. The Swinger was Michael's first car and something that lives in the hearts of many of us. For many of us, the Swinger was more than just a car. It was a place of refuge during those tough sick-form days. A place where many an evening hours spent on a quiet road chatting, whilst we all the time plotting. Life was sometimes tough for the Swinger though. Written off by insurance companies on several occasions. But with the help of a local mechanic, who was more than willing to look the other way, the Swinger was never off the road for too long. Towards the end of his life, the Swinger was eventually stolen by joyriders. However, even this was not the final chapter of the Swinger. It was found abandoned down a side street in Hart. I miss the days of the Swinger. Michael, I speak for all of us who have the pleasure of being his passengers. Thank you for sharing the Swinger with us.
Our W is the workmate. Now, Michael is a very popular guy. I don't know anyone that has a bad word to say about him, but he hasn't always had the best taste in friends. Now, once Michael introduced us to his new best mate from work, his name was Jack. Now, at first, Jake seemed like a pretty average bloke. There he is there, just to be clear. Now, a few of us thought there was something a bit strange of him, something a little bit odd. And actually, many years later, our suspicions proved correct. When Jake was arrested for using a tennis racket to film up girls' skirts outside of Tooting Station, there he is in the Daily Mirror. He was found with 20 hours of footage. Suffice to say, Michael and Jake are no longer friends and no longer work together. Although I heard Jake did offer to bring his tennis racket to film the reception tonight. Now, X is for extravagant. Now, we all know Michael's a little bit fruity and he suffers from extreme FOMO. Often when I picture extravagant holiday idea to him, his response is typically, well, you leave me no choice. But going on every trip he can does mean he has to be incredibly efficient with his use of holiday. So he's been known to commute directly from a night out on holiday to work on Monday morning. He's commuted from a nightclub in Ibiza, he's even commuted from Glastonbury. But none of that compares to when he commuted over 6,000 miles from the full moon party in Thailand to be at his desk on Monday morning. So after an evening of drinking on the beautiful island of Koh Phangan, Michael turned to the group around 9 PM and casually said, right, I'm off to work in the morning. Now, we all stared in disbelief as he jumped into a tuk-tuk to the dock. Then he boarded a boat to the Thai mainland. He then hopped on a bus and 3 hours later was in the village of Suratani. He then jumped on a small flight an hour to Bangkok, where he caught another flight 12 hours to London. Once at Heathrow, he then jumped into a cab on the way to Halo Financial. But battling through the Monday morning rush hour to arrive his desk at 9 a.m. sharp. Now, the commute in total took nearly 20 hours. To put that in perspective, that's nearly as much footage as Jake had in his tennis racket outside. So, next time you're stuck on the Central Line for half an hour, just think of Michael travelling halfway across the globe to get to work for Monday morning. What is from Young Hart, Rory? So this has become a bit of a theme tune for Michael over the years. And I'm secretly hoping it's going to be the first dance, or at least the encore. Here's actually a picture of Michael and I singing the song in a karaoke bar in Krakow. But this wasn't the first time Michael was perched on someone's shoulders, which also became a bit of a theme for the stag do. And finally, Z is for Z. Now, Michael is quite possibly the loudest snorer on the planet. It's absolutely horrendous.
It's true.
The worst time was when I shared a bed with Michael in LA. If the heat wasn't bad enough, because someone had turned off the aircon. I had Michael next to me snoring so loud the windows were literally rattling. It was horrible. I had to go and sleep in the bath. True story. So, I'd love to know how you put up with that, Cindy, but I guess that's another reason why you two suit each other so well as a couple.
So Michael, Cindy, we hope you've enjoyed our speech, and on behalf of all of us, I'm sure, we hope you have a wonderful night together.